delicious meat is coming up next. Greetings from Montreal, home of the 1976 Summer Olympics. My name is John, and if you're new here, welcome to my travel channel. Today, we're exploring the top sites, food, and other experiences in Montreal. Now, before we start our journey, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's go, or as they say in French, allons-y. When you think of famous foods in Montreal, of course, you think the bagel. The poutine, smoked beef, those are also iconic food staples here. But we're at one of the most famous bagel shops, a Fairmont Bagel, that is famous all throughout the city. I'll get into it a little bit more, but let's go inside. The Fairmont Bagel was started in 1919 and moved to its current location in 1949, and clearly has become a staple of the neighborhood and Montreal. Now, you may be wondering what makes a Montreal bagel so unique. Here, in addition to freshly making it, they dip it in a honey water and then put it in a stone oven. We got the classic sesame bagel. As you can notice here, it's very thin compared to American bagel. And we got some cream cheese that we're going to enjoy. So, bon appetit. When you cut through the bagel, it's warm and steamy. So let's dig in. Surprisingly, it's very crunchy. It hasn't even been toasted, so it's really amazing that it has a crunch feel to it. But we give it 2 thumbs up, and it's a great way to start the morning with a coffee and a bagel. Hello. When you see a long line for a walk-up food counter, of course, we got to go check it out. And they sell delicious gnocchi with cheese and spices. So Andrea and I are super excited to dig in and taste this delicacy. What's surprising is this container is all of $5 Canadian. We paid a little bit extra for the spice and cheese, and of course we tipped a little bit, but that's a great deal. It feels very fresh, of course very spicy, and the cheese, it's blended very well together. I don't know what sauce they use, but the sauce feels or tastes very flavorful. The pop-up window with the gnocchi, delicious, and I guess we really shouldn't be surprised since we're in Little Italy, but this is a neighborhood, if you're in Montreal, it's a foodie paradise. All this traveling, we had to stop for a light refreshment. We stopped at this cafe right next to the Olympic Stadium. Andrea got this lemon coconut water. And of course, if you can guess it, for myself, I got an Olympic beer, Olympic lager, in fact. So I'm excited to see if it lives up to the hype. Cheers. Feel refreshed.
Gold medal.
Yes, gold medal for pouring and taste. The Olympic Park was constructed in the 70s for the 1976 Olympics, and it's still used today for shows, concerts, and other big events. You can still come here for the biodome and the planetarium as well. Now, the tower behind me is closed for renovation, but in 2025, it's going to be open and you can get 360 views of the city of Montreal. As we walk around the park, it has a lot of space, and it must have been a huge undertaking cost-wise and manpower to build the stadium. And we learned that the government took 30 years just to pay off all the loans for this construction. I mean, for any country, this can be a huge burden. But as you can see, there is a lot of space here that, hopefully is being used to its fullest. Welcome to Mont-Royal Park. It is a beautiful destination for everyone of all ages. In the warmer months, can enjoy some hiking, walking your dog in the winter months, some sledding and ice skating. We contemplated getting a sled for ourselves, but it may be a little tricky to get through the airport. But we're gonna see what this beautiful park has to offer. The Kondiaronk Belvedere has spectacular views of Montreal and the St. Lawrence River. It's just one of the many spots that you can check out in the park. And even on a forecast or cloudy day, it's still a great view to see. The Chalet du Mont-Royal was designed in 1930 by architect Astrid Beaugrand-Champagne for leisure, repose, and open for the public to enjoy. He was inspired by the history of the city as well as the Iroquois Indians. And when you come inside the building, you can see beautiful murals that honor that history and culture. Now here's the really fun part, going down the mountain at night during winter where there's ice and snow and not slipping and falling. Delicious meat is coming up next. We went to Schwartz Deli, which is famous for their smoked meat. So we're gonna place our order and then check back in later. I got their classic sandwich, which they're most well known for. Smoked meat sandwich with yellow mustard and white bread. It's their most popular, so of course yours truly has to get it. Andrea, being a poutine lover, got their poutine, which has a slight twist of, you guessed it, smoked meat on top of it. Both seem super delicious, so I think we're ready to dig in. I can see why this is their most popular dish. The meat itself is like great smoky flavor, very tender. I mean, if you're looking for smoked meat, this is definitely the place to be. 5 stars. I can totally see why this is a Montreal tradition since 1928. Wow, that was amazing. That was probably my favorite smoked meat sandwich that I've ever had. And the bar is pretty high. And the portions that you get are pretty decent size. They were telling us a little bit about the process. They marinate it and season it, then smoke it, then steam it. That way you're getting all the flavors and it's super tender. I think we roughly paid about 30 Canadian dollars, which is about 20% off if you're in US dollars. So very cost effective. All the sides are a little bit extra if you want a pickle or coleslaw, but we're saving our appetite for one more stop. So we didn't get a side, but we're gonna head over to our next food destination. Beaver Tails acquired. Let's dig in and I'll tell you more about them. Beaver Tails are all over the city. They're basically like fried dough and you can have like different toppings. We chose the sunrise, which is cinnamon, and then you kind of cover it with a lemon juice. Should be really sweet and have a nice lemon flavor to it. And then of course hazel, which is Nutella with some powdered white sugar. So I don't know about you, but they smell delicious and I think I'm ready to dig in. All right, let's dig in and start. It's really good. It's like having a cinnamon twist, if you ever have one of those. But I also like the lemon flavor because it balances the sugar out. The dough itself is very light and airy, and compared to American fried dough, which is thicker, I think it tastes a lot better. I like the light and airiness of it. But we came to the shop in Old Montreal, and they do have food trucks and all the Christmas markets, but we recommend coming to the store. If you're like me, it can get a little messy and you have some extra napkins, but it's been totally worth it. I think we're going to enjoy this and then finish up our meal. Welcome to Basilica Notre de Montreal, one of the biggest landmarks in the city. The Basilica was Canada's first Gothic revival church. The church has roots going back all the way to 1672, when the Sulpicians built a stone church right on Notre Dame Street. They quickly outgrew their church, and in 1824, they began construction of a new church, which is the one that we're standing in right now. By the mid-1800s, they completed the two towers, the Western Tower and the Eastern Tower. The Western Tower is known as La Perseverance, which has a massive bell on Jean Baptiste, and it's made in England and weighs nearly 11 tons. The Eastern Tower, La Temperance, has a 10-bell carry-on, which is made from the same English foundry. Basilica does not have any guided tours. There are people here that are more than happy to answer any questions. We learned a few fun facts. Right behind me with the beautiful altar actually used to be covered with stained glass. With the sunlight, it was shining very bright, so slowly they kind of built it up to cover it, which now we have this beautiful artwork behind us. In the 70s, an arsonist lit fire to a confessional, which caused a huge fire. And unfortunately, only 2 out of the 5 stained glass panels survived from that fire. When you leave the Basilica, you'll notice some gray stones in the middle of the street, as well as in the plaza. That's where the stone original church once stood. Now, our overall thoughts with the Basilica, it's $15 per person, which could be a little bit pricey, but it's absolutely stunning. It's definitely a tourist church, and the artwork and architecture can take your breath away. Now, if you're traveling on a budget, we thought St. Joseph's Oratory was much more economical. It's completely free. It's vibrant. Seems to have a huge active parish. And if you want to go into the museum, it's not too much to go into St. Joseph's. But if you want something that is going to take your breath away and you're looking for artwork, the Basilica is the place to be. Montreal takes its cue from some of the great European cities, as it has one of the best public transportation systems, and the metro is a great way to get around, as well as the bus system. The underground crosses 30 kilometers or 20 and a half miles, so you really could get lost in the network, as well as you don't even have to go outside, which is beneficial if it's a rainy day. In fact, we're crossing from Place Montreal Trust to Centre Eaton for a special treat. We decided to grab a bite to eat for lunch in Centre Eaton at the TimeOut Market. It features 16 prominent chefs all over Montreal. The options are overwhelming, but we're going to grab something and then we'll check back in with our food. The TimeOut Market is a vibrant banquet hall, and the food is really delicious. There are 7 locations across the world, and the food itself is very affordable compared to if you actually went to one of the restaurants. We decided to get Indian food from Latage. They were handpicked by Time magazine to be featured in this market, and since they've been around since 1985, I'm sure it's going to be delicious, and it smells really good too. I got the butter chicken, which comes with rice and slaw. Andrew got the sag paneer, which comes with the same sides, and of course, we got to get garlic naan to come with our dish. But I don't know about you. This is smelling really good. Cheers. I think Andrea and I agree. We give this 2 thumbs up, and it's a great way to taste some of the food across the city. Montreal is one of the snowiest cities in North America. And given the snow, rain, and ice, it's not always ideal to be running errands or grocery shopping, but that's where the underground comes into play. In downtown Montreal, there's an underground network of different shopping centers. You can do your grocery shopping, buy gifts for people, and just run different errands. They also have fun activities for the family as well. So this is the place to be when it's a little rainy and snowy outside. Next stop is Complexe Desjardins, and guess what? We haven't even stepped outside yet. The Complexe Desjardins comes alive and becomes a winter wonderland. It's right by the Grand Marché de Noël and Place d'Arts. I mean, just look at this place. The fountain, the decorations, and the lights. It's definitely worth coming here in the winter. After having the Montreal bagel, we have to have another Montreal classic, poutine. The place that was recommended to us was La Banquise. Judging by the line outside the shop, it seems to be very popular. We ordered the classic and the T-Rex, and we'll check back in after we have a bite to eat with our recommendations. T-Rex dish includes sausage, bacon, hot dogs, and of course gravy and curd cheese. And this is why you come to a restaurant like this. Not only can you get a classic poutine, but you can also experiment with a dish like this. Totally worth it. For those of you that are not familiar with poutine, it's a very classic Montreal, Quebec cuisine. Has fries with cheese curds, all covered with gravy. And if you go to a restaurant like this, you have a little bit more liberty. Put in some meat or different vegetables. We even sell someone with onion rings. La Banquise is open 24 hours, so really convenient to get poutine. It started in 1968 as an ice cream shop, and then they converted into a snack bar, mostly famous for hot dogs. But in the 80s, it really took off with poutine, and there's probably 30 different items on the menu, but you definitely have to have the poutine. Old Port is quiet and quaint during the day, but at night it's bustling with activity, especially during the winter. It just becomes a winter wonderland that comes alive. Le Grande Roue de Montreal, Montreal's Ferris wheel, has become an icon of the city since it was built for its 375th anniversary. And located in Old Port, it's a beauty to see, but let's go take a closer look at it. The wheel is the tallest one in Canada at 200 feet or 60 meters. Now, we're going to take a closer look, but no promises that we're actually going to get on there. It is $26.50 per adult to go on the wheel. You go around 2 to 3 times, and it lasts about 15 to 20 minutes. I'm sure you get spectacular 360 views of the city and the St. Lawrence River on a clear day. Good morning. It's our final day in Montreal. Normally we have been sleeping in, but today we got up a little bit early to go to a cafe to get a cup of coffee and some bagel sandwiches. We went to the World Trade Center of Montreal, and surprise, right behind me, there's a piece of the Berlin Wall. So that's kind of interesting. But the sandwiches that we got, I got a bacon and brie, and Andrea got ham and cheese. So I'm ready to dig in. Bon appetit. We're finishing up our trip of Montreal, and it really blew us away. We were hoping for a little bit more snowy winter wonderland mix. We had a little bit more rain and gloom, but it still took our breath away. My personal favorites were Schwartz Deli. I really enjoyed the smoked meat, but of course, poutine's also a classic dish to have here as well. St. Joseph's Oratory has great views and a really deep connection with the community. I think that's a must-do for everyone. And then Mont-Royal, phenomenal views that you need to check out. And it's a bright sunny day. You'll have a clear view of the city skyline. As I said, this wraps up our tour, and if you have any suggestions in Eastern Canada or in the area, we want to hear about it. Put it in the comments below. But until next time, keep on exploring.